Hey guys, so in this video I wanted to talk about the visionary and integrator type of roles, and there's a great book that covers this. It's called Rocket Fuel, and it really goes great when talking about remote workers. So we always talk about virtual assistants on this channel, and of course this channel is for anybody doing real estate deals and who's already in business. So that could be a house flipper, house wholesaler, could be a land flipper. And as everyone usually knows, pretty much most business owners are always going to be the visionary type of personality. And the author of that book, they've got a test that you can go and take to find out if you're a visionary or integrator. I'm kind of in between, but in my opinion, I'm going to always lean towards more being the visionary type. I do struggle a lot with like sitting still and then just trying to get the work done. That's like most business owners that I've met. The majority of them, it's very hard to get them to sit down and like work within a software to get things done. That's why, I always just recommend people to not be the solo guy trying to make their way through their business without help. As soon as you've got the capital and you've done some deals and stuff, and which that's actually the reason why everything I talk about is for business owners who's already started, because this channel isn't about like making your first dollar. It's really about those people that have already made their first dollars, so that way they can grow and get virtual assistants, and then implement processes, procedures into your company so that those people are trained, and that way it's not like a Lord of the Flies type of situation going on, because if you don't have systems in place, training, and a path for like onboarding these new hires, of course, it's not going to be a really great situation for them or you. So, like I said, with me leaning towards being a visionary, it is so important for me to have a small team in place, and then that way, I come up with the big picture of like what we need to get done. And then that way the team is actually the ones that can get this stuff done. So like in my real estate company, we send a lot of direct mail. And so scrubbing the data, getting the offers priced, all sorts of things like that. Like, we have data analysts who can actually price out the offers. So that way everyone who gets a letter from us, there's already an offer on it. And so, basically, I look at like, okay, what's our marketing budget? And then, how many letters does that translate to? And then what states do I want to, market to find sellers who would actually want to sell land to us? And then it's getting the high level stuff worked out for the team. And then they can actually start researching, like where would be good markets to go to. And there's no telling exactly how many markets we're in. For instance, it's quite a few. I mean, we're probably buying in, 9 or 10 states, something like that, throughout the last couple of years for us. So we do rural vacant land. That's pretty much like our niche. We don't really go into cities, and I'm not really doing infill lots, stuff like that. So once I'm able to just kind of determine the high level numbers and like what's going on, then from there, the team can take over and actually research entire states at a time, and they can put together Excel spreadsheets and see like just already just kind of talking about that, have I put together those Excel sheets before? Yes. And of course I did do the training for, my team, but I am not the best person to do that. It's like, it's too many hours to go and research states, and then to break it down, research by the county and things like that. And then you've got to even break it down even further and then research into like, well, what types of properties are selling in this county and stuff like that. It's way better to have a team that can take stuff like that off my plate. So like right now, each team member is probably working, 150 to say 180 hours per month. And in that data team, there's 4 people currently. And so when you start adding up that many hours, it's like best of luck to anybody, When I started out being solo in real estate, probably going on a few years ago, it was like me doing stuff. Number one, it was never getting done according to the deadlines. It was never getting done exactly the way it should have. I wasn't keeping track of all the data in like the best way possible just because I wasn't good at data management. And so, when now all of a sudden you can find people and each one is better at doing each thing than you were originally, or at least matching you. Now, when it comes to like the data, we've got 2 data analysts and they far surpass any knowledge that I had, just simply because, they had already had previous experience doing it. They have college degrees that was beneficial to them being data analysts. So, you want to lean towards figuring out, well, what are you good at? And then you try to stay doing those things. And then you want to hire people who are actually better than what you are at it, or at least right there up next to you. Because of course, there's always 2 methods. You can get people at a cheaper rate, but now you're training them and then you're working them up on pay as they get better and progress. Or you can pay more and now you can get a more senior level type of person in order to take over that task for you. And so everyone's businesses is different, because you got to figure out like, well, so what are your marketing channels? You may be more data heavy, or if you're going to have like cold calling teams and stuff like that, then you're going to be more, of course that's marketing, but now it's going to be more phone sales and just having those kinds of conversations. Doesn't really matter as far as hiring remote workers, because you can hire virtually any position you can imagine. So for me, I've actually leaned towards finding 2 people that could act as the integrator for that entire department. And they take an enormous workload off of me because it encompasses all of the data management. They communicate directly with the data scrubbers. And we've had more data scrubbers in the past, because sometimes we would need to scrub tens of thousands of rows of data per month. So I'm not sure what the most we've ever scrubbed per month was, but I don't know, tens of thousands. It was probably approaching 100,000 rows of data in 1 month before. And of course, that was a small team of just data scrubbers to accomplish something like that. So it really does just depend on what you need done. So could be somebody to handle cold calling, and then you have someone that you could find to be sort of a mini integrator that can help to run a department. And when you're starting to talk about these types of people, I might already be scaring some of you, because you might be thinking, hang on, an integrator. So, that would be the COO type of role. However, that would be if they're over the entire company. But most people who are, have a small business, or because basically we're talking about micro businesses here. We're talking about someone who's a solo person right now, or they've only got 1 or 2 people helping them. A lot of people, it's just a husband and wife team doing their real estate business at the moment. And, that's one of the types of individuals that this channel is made for. It's trying to get you to the point that you can make that 1 hire, or 4 or 5. And now you've got yourself a really efficient small team to help you get things done. So when you are talking about, these little mini integrators, they could just be like a type of manager. Could be like a data manager, or it could be like a cold calling team manager. And is where the value comes in on that person's role is going to be, they can do things that you're not doing properly, or you're not doing good enough or enough of it. So think about things like KPI tracking. You could have dashboards within your company, so that way you can run your company by more of the scientific method. So that way you can actually make decisions based on the numbers that these people are keeping track of for you. So could be, the number of calls being made, per day, per cold caller, and then, how many motivated sellers they're actually bringing in. Of course, there's all that kind of stuff. It could be, how many letters are going out per state, per county, and then tracking monthly, weekly, and then trying to figure out your deal flow that way. Because one of the great things about these KPIs that an integrator can get for you is going to be the things that directly affect your budgets. And because they can actually control the ROI, or your return on ad spend, your ROAS. So for us, once we kind of know, like, okay, this is the type of deals that we want to go after, and we want to go after them hard, because we find, like, okay, this type of landowner never sells to us. We sent tens of thousands of letters to those types of individuals. They don't sell their land to us. So now we can scrub and remove those types of people from our data. And, you can do that as well. So, you can really go down a rabbit hole once you've got an integrator, just because of the sheer number of KPIs that they can bring back that actually translates into real dollars. So that way we can kind of get away from talking about like the theory of it, because so many books and so many videos that I've seen, it's definitely a lot of theory, but like the integrators are the ones to where that is like what really drives the dollars in a business, is once a visionary can find an integrator. Now, maybe you can't find one person, but you could find two, and them two would actually be like really great for each other within a department, and they could actually become your quasi integrator for your company. So at least for a department, even if that's all we're going to talk about. Because if you think about what that person would make in the US, and you start looking at that per month and per year, I'm sure that it would be terrifying. There's no telling what that would cost. They would be outside of what we could even think about doing right now. But when you're talking about finding a remote worker and they're in another country, so that way, they're going to cost a fraction of what someone would cost here. But yet when you pay them, they may be making, 50% more money than they were making. Some of them, depending on the pay, they could be making double what they were making in their own country. Like we talk about this all the time. Some of these countries would be the Philippines, India, Venezuela, Pakistan. There's a ton of countries to where people already speak English. They have good enough internet in order to, just work from their home. And then, it's just simply finding them, running them through the vetting process, which, is like what we teach. And, finding that person, it really is oftentimes the key to getting the business that you actually want. So many people are feeling stuck in their businesses, and it is simply because they're looking for like the what, which may be software and just all this other stuff. They may be looking for courses and coaches and things like that. And it's like, okay, none of that stuff is bad. You definitely need that. However, a lot of it is you're looking for people, because you just need to show the people the what, and they already know the how. And that's an amazing book by Dan Sullivan, Who Not How. He talks about that in depth. I've talked about it on this channel before. And as soon as you can kind of change your mindset over to that, is, at least for me, that is what made life so much easier and actually transitioning it into being more fun. Because think about it. The whole reason for owning a business, you've got all these other headaches. And so it's what makes the headaches worth it, is that, you can live a life that is actually what you wanted. Nobody starts a business because they want to work for less money, but then they got to work double the hours. I think it's Mark Cuban who talks about entrepreneurs are the only people that would work for $40,000 a year, but work 80 hours a week instead of going and getting a job, just because it's like most entrepreneurs are, they're not hireable. Like most would not want to go and be at a job, just because it's so hard for the entrepreneurial type to sit in something like that. And so oftentimes these integrators, and this is definitely something I struggled with. I always, in my previous businesses, I would want to lean towards finding people that are like me. And actually, I want to find people that are more the opposite of me. You're looking for entrepreneurs. And I don't have any idea who coined that term, but I definitely think that it is extremely fitting. I know I've heard Alex Hermosi talk about that as well. So you want to find people who they really just want to be able to park in a company, but they want to be paid what they're worth, which is virtually always going to be above average. If you want great talent, you're going to have to pay more. And also they want to be treated like with respect, dignity, and they want to have flexible work schedules. Almost always on an A player. We've talked about that. So, just think about that. An integrator is going to lean towards, yes, they're going to be higher paid and everything, but keep in mind when you're hiring from other countries, the pay is still going to be incredibly economical for you, and they're still going to be paid more than they were making or even more than they can currently find a job for. So, that's something to keep in mind. This is definitely going to be a win for you. It's going to be a win for them. Now, of course, I talk about this all the time. I don't have a recruiting firm. I just simply am going to show clients the total process and stuff. So I don't charge fees, and I'm not a middleman for hiring and stuff like that. But if you have any desire at all to try to find people that can integrate for you, or if you're just needing one virtual assistant, or if you're even needing to build a small team, check out the video that is in the description. And it's just a YouTube video. There's no opt-in. And it is actually going to be a video where I walk you through from start to finish what it takes, like what the process looks like to go from, okay, I now figured out like what role I need to fill. And then we take you through how to find them, get them hired, onboarded, trained. And we talk about like SOPs, systems, processes within your company that needs to happen. It literally walks you step by step through this. The video is full transparency. It's about 1 hour long, but let's face it, if you can't sit through a 1 hour video, you would have almost no chance in trying to put together this system because it does take work. There's nothing on this channel. There's nothing in any of my companies that is like super easy. It's all going to be a step-by-step process that you have to follow. I highly recommend you check it out. It literally walks you through the entire thing. And I look forward to the next video. Thanks, guys.